I am here to talk to you about Ryan's story. My name is Molly Ashoff, and I am the Digital Learning Coordinator at ESU 8 in Neely. And you can connect with me here, but I kind of put, this is kind of the driving theme behind my presentation or TED Talk is I believe all students should get to go to school no matter what. And that'll hopefully kind of make sense as we go along through this. This is Ryan. He is in 8th grade, and he's an active boy. He loves sports. His family, this was taken at a Husker game. He plays football, basketball, track, all those things. Typical. On August 7th, so this is like 1 week before school started, Ryan's life changed. I said he's a farm boy. He was out on the farm, and they have big pig barns, and he was washing out the pig barn with a power washer, and somehow he power washed over his foot. Now, if you know anything about a power washer, they've got tons of pressure, and it's heated water, and so it sliced through his rubber boots and his sock, and it cut to the bone, basically. And so they took Ryan to, we're in rural Nebraska, all right, so beyond Omaha and Lincoln, where there's not a lot. They just took him to the family doctor, which was in another town. They cleaned it up, so it stitched him back up. But it wasn't looking good the next day or so. So they ended up taking him into Norfolk to the bigger hospital and doctors. And they had a specialist look at it, and he had. So they had to open it up, and immediately had several surgeries. What amounted to about 3 surgeries, 2 skin grafts. And we are a week before school to start. So about 2 days to my schools and came to this town and was actually having lunch with my mother, a convenience of her living in the same town. And she said, well, have you heard about Ryan? And I said, no. And so she filled me in. So I started at Ryan's school. He goes to a K-8 parochial school. And I went in and I said, do you have a plan? And she's just doing her bulletin boards and trying to get ready for school. And I'm like, well, you've got this student here. And she said, I don't know. I just heard, the mom will call me, we'll talk. And I said, well, does he have a device? She said, well, our kids have iPads. And I said, well, that's good. And I said, I'm going to show you really quick how you can connect and Ryan can be to your classes here. And she was young. She's like, okay. And so I showed her, and she's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great, if his mom wants to do that. And I said, all right, well, I'll be back in 2 days with a camera. And if anybody saw, Linda had the exact camera here. It was just a webcam. And I said, I will set you up your personal Zoom room. I'll talk to the family. She said, well, the only thing I'm concerned about is, as an 8th grader, he's supposed to go to the high school and take freshman algebra. And I said, well, I'm headed to the high school next. And so I talked to that teacher, the math teacher, and she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm friends with his mom. I guess I thought I'd just go out there and help him if I have to. And I'm like, who wants to go with the kids laid up, sit in their, homemade bed, or just the inconvenience or the weirdness from the kids' perspective that this teacher's there. And so I said, well, I'm going to talk to the mom. I'm headed to the hospital next, and I'll see what she says. So I get to the hospital, and I kind of am chargy. I come in and, how are you? Oh, I said, so how do you plan to go to school? And they're like, well, he can't go to school. The doctor said he can't. And I said, no, yes, he can. I said, I talked to the teacher. You stop and get his iPad. We've got Zoom loaded on it. And she's like, what did I start? And I said, you didn't start anything. I did. She said, well, I'll email the teachers tonight. And so both teachers called and said, yep, we're a go. So I take them cameras. We're all set. Did I say Zoom was a game changer? Zoom is awesome, and I will talk a little bit more about that. Who knows what Zoom is? Oh, I don't have to talk about it too much then. Wonderful. And this, so he spent laid up, literally laid up, either in the hospital or at home. And here he is. He's got his headset on. He's in the hospital. He is participating in his algebra class. In his regular class, he participated in his math class at the high school. The really nice thing was she taught that class twice, once in the morning and one in the afternoon. So if Ryan couldn't make the morning one, that's the one he was supposed to be in. If he had appointments or something, afternoon time. Here. Ryan's going to school, but Ryan's also getting to meet those kids. So they're kids not from a school that he goes to typically. He probably knows them. This is a small town of 800, so he probably knows them. But he would have missed all that beginning of the year procedures that the teacher has, all of that introductions, getting to know the other students, and all of that. Rally. So they took a phone, and he was. It works. All right, so here's Ryan and his surgeon, who looks just a year or two older than Ryan. But just a plug for him, this is Dr. Hartzell. He is people come from around the world to him as an extremities doctor. Beth knows, her son was there, yeah. So he's wonderful. And I just, when the mom sent me these pictures, I thought, that's wonderful. So I'd heard he got to go back. This was right before Thanksgiving that he got to go back to school. Whoops, wrong way. And I happened to be in the school that week. Little boys come walking by me, and one was Ryan, and I was totally surprised. I expected he'd be on crutches or something, and he wasn't, and he was just kind of limping a little bit, but and he says, "Thanks to you, I'm not behind any classes." And I said, "Oh, just melted my teacher heart that that's the first thing he was concerned about." And the superintendent was there, and he said, "What did he say?" And he looked up at him, and he goes, "Well, I'm not behind any of my class. I'm all cut up because she hooked me up with Zoom." I'm like, I love it. I love it. He's my little Zoom advocate now. But and he was caught up in everything. His mom, this is the one that's cool. He played basketball in January and February. They expected him not even to, there was a nurse that told him he wouldn't. They weren't very happy with her. But so this is kind of small, but I like this. This is what his teacher sent me afterwards. This was the high school math teacher. And she had it so that she works a lot of her problems on the whiteboard. And so we shared content, and as she worked on the whiteboard, it showed up on his screen just like it would if he was there. He was part of the class. It would have been a teacher's nightmare to get him caught up those 8 weeks. That's that's a quarter. And she did put in there that he would home. He just had to have his camera on so she could observe him. And so when he come back, he was not behind in anything. This is what his mom texted me with some other stuff. But she said his grades are awesome because he was able to we kept him in the classroom. And I think that right there, that was key. That's what Zoom can. Got tiny little small districts, a lot of them, but in the bigger districts, I know LPS has homebound students, and I think that they use Zoom, but I just saw the power of this tool that I provided for them to keep this young man in school for 8 weeks that he wouldn't have been, and trying to catch him up like that. one time he was going to do a skin graft on his arm, and so his dad said, well, he can't write, or he won't be able to because it's got to be flat, and he could maybe do some henpecking. And I said, well, how about text-to-speech? And they go, what? And they're like, oh, I use that on my cell phone. And I'm like, cell phone, iPad, same thing. But anyway, so we got text-to-speech, and they were just like, this is awesome. And so he was able to speak in his assignments and then go back through. And his dad said when I was out there, he said, there's nothing better than being right in the classroom live. And I said, yeah, this is the best thing I could get to that. He said, no, this is the best. He said, this is being in the classroom live. And I thought that was a real testament for the tool and what it was doing for him, because sometimes I think of our distance learning, that's really not live. You're not in the room, but they considered that to be the best thing, that it was just like live being. So, to end, a little give and take. There's actually a superintendent, the mother was concerned about attendance. He's like, nope, he's there. It counts. The teachers, little prep on how to use it, a growth mindset. You got to be open to these things. Know that, had a rainstorm, knocked out the country's, boys' internet in the country, but equals a very happy child. And I think that education to him could have really made him very unhappy those 8 weeks if he'd had to try and make all that up on his own or when he got back. But because of all that, we were able to successfully keep him in school. So I would highly recommend Zoom if you're not familiar with it. But back to my first point, there is no reason any child, for any reason, shouldn't be able to attend school nowadays with the technology we have. And good thing it's only us, too, because